We ready? Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang down your head and cry. Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Poor boy, you're bound to die. Well,
that was excellent. Each in our own key.
Yes, yeah. You know, I got to tell you, though, before we start on this one, I've suffered a trauma all my life. I was one of the probably 2 or 3 kids in 3rd grade that didn't make it in the Glee Club.
Oh.
And I figured I couldn't sing. And I finally mastered, I don't know, I mastered Happy Birthday.
And that's a tough song to learn.
Now I can sing, right? Look out, world. Here
Well,
I can.
I think it would be up to them whether you can sing or not.
Well, I guess what we're talking about is Tom Dooley at your suggestion, and so you're going to have to carry this one. But you have a good story about this, so
Yeah.
I think it's pretty interesting.
Well, everybody knows, or most everybody knows, that the Kingston Trio had a mega hit in 1958 with the song Tom Dooley.
I actually remember listening to them, and I liked the Kingston Trio,
Yes,
and
me
I
too.
listened to this song.
Yes, it was a very popular
Yeah.
song. It was a big hit. But people don't know is that it's based on a real incident that took place in 1866 in North Carolina. And there really was a person named Tom Dooley, and actually it was spelled D-U-L-A, but in the local dialect it was pronounced Dooley.
All right, so now, we got a whole new thing going. We're going to do true crime with 2 old geezers, right?
Yeah, that's another podcast.
Okay.
So Tom Dooley was an actual person. He was born in North Carolina in 1844. And as a teenager, he actually was very intimate with a person by the name of Anne Foster. And they were lovers until she got married in 1859. Then he goes to join the Confederate Army in 1862, gets captured. He comes back and resumes his relationship with Anne Foster, but then he starts having a relationship with her cousin, Laura Foster. And Laura Foster and Tom Dula, or Dooley, were going to elope and get married. And in May of 1866, Laura Foster takes her father's horse and rides off with the intent to elope with Tom Dooley. And she was never seen alive again.
How do you know that that's why she was that was why she rode off?
Well, that was the plan. That's what she told her father.
Oh, she told her father. Okay,
Yeah,
so
she
there's
told
some
her father.
corroboration
Yes,
for that.
there was a lot of corroboration.
Okay.
And, well, she was never seen alive again. And while they were looking for her, before they found her body, Anne Foster actually allegedly showed her cousin, Pauline Foster, there's a lot of Fosters here, where Laura
Prolific
Foster's body
family.
was.
Okay.
And then Anne Foster, her name was actually Anne Foster Melton at that time, and she took the authorities and found where Laura Foster's body was. And she had been stabbed once in the heart. And Tom Dooley had actually left town before her body was discovered. So the focus of the investigation, if that's what you call it, was on Tom Dooley, because he left and he went to Tennessee and worked
Which was pretty close by, right?
Yes, it was right
this
over
was
the border.
It wasn't like he went really far.
No, he didn't go there very far. But in those days, it took a long time to get to Tennessee. By horse.
By horse, right?
Right. And the murder occurred in Wilkes County, North Carolina. So he goes over to a town named Trade, Tennessee, which is right over the border, I understand, and he works for a Colonel Grayson. And Colonel Grayson befriends Tom Dooley, but then he hears of the murder and they're looking for him, and he actually Tom Dooley flees, and he actually leads the posse to Tom Dooley. And that's where the song goes, if it hadn't been for Grayson, I'd be in Tennessee.
So there's some real fact. I mean, the song has some of the
facts. But they make it sound. The song makes it sound like there's a triangle, and this Grayson guy is part of the triangle with Laura Foster and Tom Dooley. But he wasn't. He was just the guy that led the authorities to Tom Dooley. So Dooley comes back, gets brought back to Kentucky.
Kentucky, you mean North Carolina?
North Carolina.
Kentucky's just as bad, but
yeah, just as bad. Yeah. But anyways, where you can marry your cousin.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, that's another podcast.
Okay.
So he's brought back. He's tried, and the former governor of North Carolina is actually his defense attorney, and he does it pro bono, which means without pay. And I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he goes to, and actually he moved for a change of venue because it was thought that he couldn't get a fair trial in Wilkes County.
So everybody was against him, huh?
Well, pretty much, because all they had is that he fled. Oh, he had made a statement to someone that he was going to get the person who gave him the pock, which is syphilis. So apparently, and the doctor testified at the trial that both Ann Foster, Tom Dooley, and Pauline Foster were all infected with syphilis.
He knew that. He tested them all?
He tested them all. And Pauline Foster was the first one tested and treated.
Okay.
He treated them with something called blue wash, which I don't even know what it is, but apparently it didn't work. Anyway.
Yeah, well, that stuff...
Probably not.
That brings me back to another thing. I'll have to... A whole nother subject.
Okay. So anyways, he gets convicted once, and then the appellate court in North Carolina reverses it, and he gets tried again, and he gets convicted again, and then he is executed on May 1st, 1868.
So they hung him right away, so they couldn't have they didn't need to worry about another trial anymore.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Well, he had to.
Yeah.
I guess that's very flimsy evidence.
Yeah,
really.
Well, that's more of a chance than sometimes some people get these days.
When he was on the gallows, he actually said, "I never harmed a hair on that lovely lady's hair," meaning Laura Foster's. There was a lot of speculation that it was actually Ann Foster Melton, that actually killed Laura Foster because she was jealous.
Her own cousin killed her own cousin.
Okay. Killed her own cousin because she was still in love with Tom Dooley, which is plausible. Tom Dooley wrote while he was awaiting execution, he wrote a 15-page letter which exonerated Ann Foster from any participation in the crime. And so Ann Foster never was convicted of it, although I think she was arrested at one time. But she was never convicted, and Tom Dooley was hung.
So this was a big spectacular trial at the time, I guess.
Well,
right?
murder wasn't so common in rural North Carolina.
Didn't happen every day.
It's not like New York. So
well,
yeah, I mean, you could stab your beloved, and she was pregnant too, Laura Foster. Apparently, there was rumored that she was pregnant.
But that was a rumor.
That was a rumor. Yeah, that was started by other people involved in the town.
Yeah, it's
but
amazing.
It's a small town, a small area, so this was the entertainment for a couple of years, I guess.
But there's some reason why this thing seems to have still resonate with people or whatever. In the 1958, that was that was 90 years after he was hung.
Yeah.
And they made a song. The Kingston Trio got a hit, but that wasn't the first song, right?
No, actually, there was a Thomas Land that wrote a song, which was not the same song that we know, but he wrote a song about it shortly after Tom Dooley was executed, and it didn't get a lot of, he published it and didn't get a lot of play, and of course,
well, they didn't have
radio.
streaming music back
then. But the Kingston Trio had actually learned the song from a recording by Frank Warner, But actually, a man named Frank Proffitt, who was born in 1913 and died in 1965, was a folklorist and banjo player from North Carolina. And he traveled in Tennessee as well. And he said he learned the song from his Aunt Nancy, who had learned the song from her mother, who actually knew Tom Dula or Dooley and Laura Foster. So the song was handed down. He learned it from relatives, and Frank Proffitt actually played the song for a Frank and Ann Warner, who were folklorists. And Frank Warner actually did a recording in 1952.
Okay.
And the Kingston Trio
Is that
learned
where the
song.
Kingston Trio got it from him?
Right.
Okay.
They learned the song from Frank, recording by Frank Warner.
All right.
So it's a very interesting history to not only the true facts of the case, as far as we know,
right.
but also it's interesting about the song. Now, Frank Proffitt sued the Kingston Trio for royalties from the song, even though he admitted he didn't write it but learned it from relatives. And in 1962, I believe, the court ruled that the Kingston Trio had to pay some royalties to Frank Proffitt.
Okay, well, I guess, where there's money, there's a lawsuit.
Well, when there's money, there's absolutely. The other interesting thing I learned, and I just learned this, in 1959, they actually made a movie called Tom Dooley.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Who made the movie?
Well, it was directed by Ted Post, who's not really known, but it was starred Michael Landon of Bonanza fame. And it also starred actress Joe Morrow, as Laura Foster. But the story, I read the synopsis of the plot of the movie, and it has nothing to do with this at all.
Yeah, they just tried to capitalize. Somebody should sue them for defamation of the Tom Dooley's memory, right?
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the song.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, I guess that's a pretty interesting story, and I didn't know any of it. I mean, none of this affected me when I was pretty young listening to the Kingston Trio, right? I just thought it was a cool song.
I did too. Yeah, I didn't know.
And I'm not sure why I liked it, but I guess
Yeah.
it's just the music at the time. But
the music was good, and the song
it was on the record.
Yeah. Well, actually, Frank Proffitt actually also made a recording of it. I think it was in 1962, so it was after Kingston Trio. But he had been singing this song, in his repertoire.
Yeah.
He was more of a, banjo playing guy that went from place to place and played
itinerant musician.
That kind of thing.
Okay. Well, I guess we've probably milked this one, but it is an interesting story, and it's still out there, I think. And,
actually, in recently as like the early 2000s, there was a petition for a pardon for Tom Dooley. There was always some doubt whether he did it or not.
I guess, right.
Yeah.
So the truth shall be out, or somebody will make it up.
Right. Absolutely. Well,
anyway,
here's what this is now. When you heard this song, what did you? I mean, did you like try to sing it or play it?
I don't know. I was suffering from third grade trauma still when I
why is that?
I wouldn't try and sing it because they told me I couldn't sing, right? And I didn't know any better. I probably can't sing, but that's
like I said, it's comments from the audience.
That's
so
right.
Maybe we'll get an
opinion.
opinion.
Speaking of comments, I think we're getting ready to go to summer recess. I think, right?
Yeah, summer hiatus.
That's right. We're going to take a break, and we got to figure out what else we're going to talk about in the next series of episodes. But anyway, I don't know if we should keep posting these things. And maybe if somebody has an opinion out there, we'll probably put this one on Facebook again. So let us know one way or the other if you think that we should that they're interesting enough that you want to watch another one.
Yeah. Well, we do have people commenting.
Oh,
so
yeah.
people are watching.
Do we have comments actually?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You should
I should go back and look at it,
yeah,
right?
we have comments,
Okay.
And actually, I think Karen actually my wife did a like.
Oh, she did a like,
Yeah.
but she didn't say anything.
She didn't.
Does that
She
mean
didn't watch it.
she
She
just
liked
kinda-
it. She didn't. She said
She's just trying to boost. That's it.
Yeah,
Trying to boost
our morale.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's right.
but something very important. Should we award a Lighty today?
Well, you wanted to award a Lighty. It didn't occur to me, but it's your prerogative. You're half of the battle here, so I think you should go ahead and proceed.
Well, I think we should award the Lighty, this episode's Lighty, to Frank Proffitt, who preserved the song Tom Dooley.
For your enjoyment.
For your enjoyment. And for
And
all of us.
edification, for whatever it's worth.
So what do you think?
We'll go right ahead. All right.
To
Frank Proffitt, you got it.
You got it.
We have to start bringing a bottle of champagne or something so we can actually derive something out of these award ceremonies.
That would be good. A drink would be good.
All right. I think we're done. So we're going to sign off and see you next season.
Yep. See you in October, hopefully.
Yeah. Well.
Hang your head, Tom Dooley, hang your head and cry. You killed little Laurie Foster, poor boy, you're bound to die. You met her on the mountain, there you took her life. Met her